So they sent me to my father. When I start talking to him, I realized that he's maybe not so really nice. The way to silence the opposition and people who do not see socialism and communism as a great ideologies and systems. If you disagree, we're gonna convince you that you should agree. You are an author, we're gonna remove your books from libraries. If you're an artist, we're gonna ban you from performing in the theaters. A movie maker, well, you will be shut down. Nobody will ever hear about you. If that doesn't work, well, we have a prisons for people like this. Those people need to be just physically eliminated, basically killed. When I was born, my father at the time, he was not yet very high in the government. He was just making his inroads in the Communist Party, in Polish government at the time. Please remember that I was born just 15 years after Second World War. Mm-hmm. This is less time span that we have between our towers fall down and today.
Yeah.
So, and we still, there's so life in our hearts, there's still so vivid. Mm-hmm. So think about these people who survive the socialist occupation of Hitler. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hitler was socialist and his system was the National Socialism, but like any socialism, whether it is Adolf Hitler socialism, or whether it is Joseph Stalin socialism, Leonid Brezhnev socialism, or Polish leader socialism. Yeah. Socialism is socialism. Yeah. And they all have many things in common. All of those socialists, there's like political prisoners, political murders, assassinations, censorship, attack on patriotism, and relative morality. We can talk about it a bit later. Relative morality. Those are aspects of socialism. So it didn't work out at all. I remember my father was outcast in his own family. I mean, they tolerate him. They were nice to him. Yeah. But like when I visit my grandmother, his mother, in the village, when I was like maybe 3 years old, I remember they were teaching me how to pray. Yeah. So I remember the first prayer that I learned was just the prayer, and then always ask God for the good things to happen, like take all the communists out of Poland and send them where they came from. Yeah. And they are Satans, they are evil. So when we were praying, I was on my knees. I had my hands together. And after the prayer, so now let's ask the God for the good things. So God, please take all the communists out of Poland. Take all these bastards. She didn't mince the words. the pure evil and devils out of Poland. So for me, being 3 years old kids, I had no idea what the communists were. I thought like they are evil, they are devils. So. They've got to have a horn's tail and they breathe fire. So I asked her that. She say, well, you don't see it, but they are worse than that. You know, they kill people. They kill people who don't disagree with them. They censor them. They are bad people. So but you don't see their tail, horns, and all that stuff. My father overheard it one time, and he got really pissed. He said, like, you will not teach my son this approach to the greatest invention of humanity, socialism. And they started arguing. My father said, if he hears this type of prayer again for the good things for Poland, get the communists out, then I will never come back. He will never allow me back. Ethan, there is one thing that we need to make it clear, what people do not understand. We call these countries behind Iron Curtain in 20th century communist countries in Eastern Europe. Well, the thing is that none of these countries were ever communist country. Not even Soviet Union was communist country. They were all socialist states. They were run by communists like my father, but they were not communist country. Because I think there's what today a lot of people try to kind of explain that socialism that is good, communism is bad. We all agree that communism is bad, and we do. We agree with communism is bad, it's dangerous. But people don't think much about socialism, especially now with today's political climate. But socialism is what ruin, destroy, and obliterate the society in Eastern Europe. That was socialism.
It's like the Trojan horse of communism, essentially.
Well, it's like a stepping stone to communism,
exactly,
but it's more palatable to people saying, because the explanation, and I'm sure you hear it very often, is, well, socialism is nothing more than just building the roads by the government, paying for the schools by the government, maintaining police, firefighters, and first responders by the government. Well, if this is the definition of socialism, by that definition, even Morocco and Saudi Arabia are socialist countries, right? Which we know they are not.
Exactly,
They were socialist states, and socialism is as dangerous as any other totalitarian state, because eventually turns into totalitarian control of the society.
And your father was an academic, and typically in academic circles, that's where it always flourishes. You never see like the common man does as well, but there's influence there, but it seems like it's always in the academics. Was that something that you think with your father? Because you said he was respected as a teacher. People actually, he's friendly.
Yes.
Is that something that you think that like influenced him more because he was more of a teacher and academic? But then, like I said, your mother though was also a teacher.
Yes.
Where do those two? Like I said, he was so much into it, but his parents obviously didn't want that at all. Especially in those days. And I do have a quick question. I mean, you can answer that one too, but like, just as a in general, like how did they find each other? How did they get married and have, like I said, 3 kids? Is that you know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, they were hardcore.
Cool. They were teachers. They were both teachers.
Okay, so at some point, was there some warm feelings growing up? Like you said, like even between your parents, or I know you said they got divorced when you were 7.
I haven't seen my father a lot. He was so concentrated on his career that he seldom was home. He was always looking to be somewhere out on the road. He had to do this, he had to do that. So I don't remember seeing him a lot. But when he comes usually, I knew there is a bell that will be flying, going to be spanking us for all the bad things that we did. And there will be a lot of punishment going on. So he was kind of like a despot. But so I never remember any warm feelings towards him. I seen the guy who show up once every while and beat us up. So that was it. But you know what? You mentioned about this being academic, how he did get into this communism while my mother was able to maintain the decency and being a good person, and he turned into the communist. Well, he was if you met him, if you just talk to him, you would think, wow, what an awesome, educated, worldly man, like older man. I would love to have a neighbor like this. And that's what a lot of people think of it. But when you start probing his beliefs and views, you would realize that his idea of socialism was like socialism or nothing. And if you don't agree with socialism, if you try to, God forbid you try to oppose it, if you don't agree, we're going to convert you. The socialism is such a great thing. People are just too stupid to understand, so we need to force a little bit on them. But if they resist, this is where we need to use full force of law to either force them or silence them. So his ideas was, at that time I didn't know it, but later when I was like 16 years old, I went to live with him because my mother couldn't afford having 3 teenager kids. So they sent me to my father. When I start talking to him, I realized that he's maybe not so really nice, because his idea was not only just the way to silence the opposition and people who do not see socialism and communism as a great ideologies and systems, would be, if you disagree, we're going to convince you that you should agree. But if you still don't, we still have a prison opens. And we also, if you are an author, we're going to remove your books from libraries and bookshelves. If you're an artist, we're going to ban you from performing in the theaters. If you are a movie maker, you will be shut down. Nobody will ever hear about you. So I asked him, what if that doesn't work? Well, we have a prisons for people like this. And if then they don't, I'm asking like him, what if you can't change their minds in prison? Well, certain people needs to be eliminated, so the society needs to advance for the good of society, for the good of the people, the nation. Those people needs to be just physically eliminated, basically killing them.
Yeah.
So that was his view, and he did not change his views until he died in 2021. Actually, I went with my wife to see him for the last time. I never seen him. It was, I think, first time I see him, first or second time. And he still did not change his mind. He was still hardcore communist. How he got converted to it, I don't know. But once you get indoctrinated, it is very difficult to change, for you to accept the facts. And I think the best information on that subject would be given by Yuri Bezmenov.